Good morning. So we'll start session 9 on chapter heredity and evolution. So in our previous session, we understood about speciation. We understood what is evolution, and based on the evolution, how the species, a new species is evolved. So what are the ways for that? The first one was natural selection, how it is selected naturally, accidental selection, and we also understood about geographical isolation, which brings about a genetic drift. Then we understood about artificial selection, where human beings intervene in that to get the new species or the new thing. So we also understood about inherited trait and acquired trait. I missed one point in yesterday's class while explaining about accidental selection. It is moreover understood because we have covered that in inherited and acquired trait. Now, when I can give another example of the beetles. Assume that there are again blue beetles and red beetles, a combination of two beetles there in the same forest what we discussed. By chance, the bushes what the beetles will feed on, right? The bushes or the grass will get some plant disease, right? So once they have got plant disease, that means beetles have inefficient amount of food to eat. Since beetles have inefficient amount of food to eat, they cannot survive, right? They either die or they are malnutrition. But the progeny, the offspring of these beetles will be also in the same condition, will be born with a malnutrition or something like that? No. The progeny of these beetles will be fit and fine. That what I want to tell you here is that comes under inherited or acquired trait. So again, by accidentally what has happened, the plant has got diseases, right? Due to that condition, the progeny will not suffer here because the malnutrition, inefficient amount of food is the acquired trait in a lifetime, in its life experience what it has taken. Inherited trait will carry forward. So that was about speciation, how it allowed for the new species to develop from the old one, now which will become isolated so that they cannot reproduce among themselves. Now we'll move on to the next segment here, that is evolution and classification. Evolution and classification are interlinked with each other. Now how do we say this? Because classification of species is a reflection of their evolutionary relationship. Now what do I mean by this? Classification of the species is a reflection of the evolutionary relationship, because more similar the organisms, it is easy for us to group them under particular stages. From evolution, we can relate that these organisms had these type of features. So either it be plant or animals, easy for us to classify them and group them under single species or single category. So when we talk about evolution and classification, we want certain evidences for evolution. Now what could be the evidences? Have we seen dinosaur? No, we have only seen dinosaur in the movies. But how do you know that the dinosaur exists, right? There are so many other animals. What you can say is there are extinct animals also sometimes. That comes different. But how do we know that? We get to know that by some evidences what we have. Now as in science, anything we cannot just rely on or believe on. We rely or we prove it something based on evidences only. So evolution gives us some evidences to prove that these things existed at one point of time. And one thing what we all have to remember is we all are evolved from a single ancestor. We usually compare, right? We have evolved from monkeys or chimpanzees, etc. But no. Chimpanzees and we humans have evolved from one common ancestor. So we had one common ancestor. From that one common ancestors, we all have evolved, and generation to generation, years of generation, there has been different, what you can say, we have evolved into a different species. We'll move on to this, evidences of evolution. So there are basically, what I can say, two evidences on which we rely that these organisms actually existed at one point of time that is morphology and anatomy, and based on the fossils. Now, what is morphology? Morphology is a branch of science which deals with the study of structures and origin of the organisms or the animals. Means a branch of science which studies and deals with the structure and origin of the organism or animals. Plants also you can compare it that. Anatomy, we all know, a branch of science which deals with the study of organs, human body or body organs we can say, where we dissect it and check the body type, organs type. So this is one evidence what we look for evolution. The second one is fossils. We'll first complete the morphological evidences and then we'll move to fossils. When we talk about morphological evidences, that means we are talking about more of structure and their function, their origin, from where is the organism originated from. So based on the origin structure, we bifurcate them in terms of homologous organs and analogous organs. Let us understand what are homologous organs and analogous organs. Now, homologous organs, the organs which are derived from the same origin or structure, or I can say the organisms or the animals which have same structure, or a particular part which has a similar structure but performs different function, right? Animals which have similar function, animals which have similar structural origin but perform different functions are called homologous organs. So what it could be, which organs I am talking about here? I am talking about forelimbs. Now for example, if I take forelimbs of a horse, bat, cat and humans, all this have similar structure and origin, but they perform different function. How? Now forelimbs of a horse is used for running, right? Now forelimbs of a bat are converted in terms of wings, that is used for flying. Forelimbs of a cat, we call that as a paw, which is used for walking, scratching, etc. and or grabbing. Forelimbs of a humans, that is hands, we use it for several activities. That means if you exactly look into these figures what they have given, everybody have a similar type of a bone structure, everything, right? But each of these forelimbs have similar origin. They have evolved from a similar structure. But what are their functions? Functions are different. So organs which have similar structure, that is origin, but perform different function are called as homologous organs. They have a same structural plan but different functions. Okay. We move on to analogous organs. It is again opposite of this. Organs having different origin. That means the organs are evolved from, they have different origin but they perform same function. Examples: wings of a bat, bird, insect. What are these wings used? These wings are basically used for flying, right? But function is same. All are using it for flying. Bat is using it for flying. Bird is using it for flying. Insects, small insects are also using it for flying. But are all the structure and the origin same? No. For what you can say is here, for example, if I take bird has a heavy wings which is used for flying and which covers the body as an insulator also from cold or etc. But where an insect's wing or a butterfly wings, when you talk about, they are very light enough. Just you can pluck it also. That means are all the same, function is same, but the origin and the structure of these wings are different. So organs having different origin, that is structural plan, but perform same function are called as analogous organs. So these evidences, morphological evidences about structure, gave us an idea that these organisms are evolved from some ancestor. Now here, when we talk about homologous and analogous organ, one thing what we have to understand here is all homologous organs. Now when we talk about forelimbs or when we talk about these wings or something, how are they evolved? So for that we have something called as, one is evolved from same ancestors, different part, or there are so many other things which have grouped together and formed a better one. Now for example, I'll come to this. Now see here, when I compare wings of a bat, bird and insect, which is the progressed one or which is the most better one? Of course, wings of a bird is the better one, right? That means wings of insect, wings of bat and wings of some other animals were combined and put together, then came wings of a bird, which is more advanced, right? So what do we see here? In analogous organs, all the different organs will group to form one larger unit or one best unit, what I can say, one best organ. It is evolved. So there were so many other small things which grouped together. Evolution wise evolution, it went on improving from one generation to another generation and became finally one thing, right? So here what has happened? It has converged. All the organs are converged to form the better one, right? What about in homologous organs? In homologous organs, there was one forelimb, right? That forelimb has several different uses. So here organs have diverged for different purposes, right? So we can say homologous organs are more of divergent type and analogous organs are more of converging type. We use the physics here. Now we say convex lens are converging and concave lens are diverging. Similarly, these are divergent. From one forelimb, there are so many other uses, wherein here different wings of the birds or insects or bat came together and finally evolved to be a better one, right? So this is about the morphological study about the evidences of evolution. The next what we study over here is about fossils, that is paleontological evidences. Now what do you mean by paleontological evidences? So paleontology is a branch of science which deals with the study of fossils of dead plants and animals. Now whenever we come with the word fossils, what comes to our mind? Fossil fuels, right? Fossil fuels are dead and decayed parts of plants and animals buried deep inside the earth. Yeah, of course, these are dead, decayed and fossil fuels are only formed. But what do you mean by the word fossil here? Fossil is something, remains of plants, dead plants and animals, right? Impressions. Those are the impressions. What do you mean by impressions? When we go to check about what fossils or what different organisms lived in a particular period of time, we only come to know about the impressions of their either on the rocks or anywhere on the tree or deep inside the earth, or even the skeleton or some remains of these animals or plant will give us the idea that is called as fossils. So paleontology is a branch of science which deals with the study of dead and remain impressions of plants and animals. Now here, when we talk about fossils, fossils also give us about the evidences of the evolution. Now how do you say that? Where do we find these fossils? We find these fossils deep inside the earth. Now that means as and when you go deeper and deeper, the deeper the fossils are found, that means older is the animal which lived in that particular era, or the plant which survived in that particular era, which is evolved. Some basic examples of fossils what they have found out have been given here. For example, fossil invertebrate. Invertebrate means what? We know vertebrates which have a backbone, invertebrates which do not have a backbone. That much we know. So fossils invertebrate. Example of those invertebrates what they have given here is ammonite and trilobite. These are some fossils which are found in during that era. About fish fossil, what they have found is called as a Nightia. About fossil dinosaur, they found only the skull, which is called as Rajasaurus. Now, how do they find this? They either find a skull, or they find a bone, or they find some impressions of these. That is how they come to a conclusion that these would have survived, and from these organisms this would have been evolved. So we can conclude by this saying that we all have evolved from a common ancestors. So these are the different evidences of evolution. Now, when we talk about evidences of evolution, and as we tell that we all have evolved from a common ancestor, there are even stages in the evolution. Stages means how we have come to a conclusion that we have eyes. From eyes we can see. For example, there are different stages. Stage by stage, a human being directly was not born with a good eyesight. What would have happened in the era or in the generation to generation, so that now we have got a good eyesight? As we told here, initially there were smaller wings, then better wings, then this put together it has come to a best one. Similarly, there are also stages of these evolution, which we will be studying it in our next class. So in today's class about evolution and classification and evidences of evolution, if you have any doubt, you can call on the same day of the video set. Thank you.